On billboards, buses, walls, and websites, if you're a student at Arizona State, you've now been labeled innovative. As the years follow, you'll have roommates, employers, and U of A students ask, what is innovation? If you think the marketing of innovation is just at your organization, you're mistaken. This outward appearance of innovation is the new norm for most organizations. It doesn't look good to be compared to relics like Kodak, Blockbuster, Yahoo, MySpace, or Sears, once dominating players in industry, now remembered for what not to do. People have their own definitions of innovation, but in the process of developing your definition of innovation and your venture, it helps us to start at the same reference point. And that reference point is innovation equals something new, better, and that humans value. That's new, better, and that humans value. We can break it down with some examples. Thinking back to the last time you experienced something new, you might think of a social media app that didn't exist a year ago, or buzzwords like machine learning, artificial intelligence, automation, VR. In fact, new things are being created every day. For some, measuring those new things is done by measuring patents, and there's even a perspective that patents are innovative. Take a look at this article by TechCrunch that talks about the number of patents granted in the US in 2019, with IBM and Samsung leading the pack. In fact, you can even get a patent on something you haven't built yet. It's called first to file. If you're curious to learn more about that, you can visit uspto.gov. But hold up, is filing a patent for something new innovative? Is doing something new in general innovative? Never mind the patents. Let's take a look at this startup, Juicerio, that sold a juicing machine and pouches that you'd place in the machine and bam, you'd have cold pressed juice in a cup. The machine originally retailed for $699, but later dropped to $399. That was until Bloomberg News posted this video. It turned out all the $400 machine did was squeeze the juice. That's innovation though, right? Setting aside the business ethics, that machine and the pouches are a new form of juiced fruit. My point here is that new things happen all the time, and new doesn't necessarily mean better. So perhaps we should take a look at what is new and better. Winding back the clock to 2001, does anybody remember what the Segway is? This self-balancing electric scooter developed by noted inventor Dean Cameron, described as effortless and easy to use. It moved faster than walking at a maximum speed of 12 miles per hour. It was new and a better form of urban transport. E-commerce Goliath Jeff Bezos and venture capitalist John Doerr were early investors. I don't see them around too often unless it's a mall cop or a tour guide, but they were better. Its new implementation of a balancing technology was better than what was seen before. But this is a good lesson in innovation being more than just engineering. Design and business also need to be considered when developing something innovative. They too need to be better. The original commercial price of the Segway was $9,000, and there were large populations of people that said you looked too weird riding them. After some intense research, I found a couple more design obstacles that users could have faced. You were way too fast for pedestrians, and way too slow and vulnerable for traffic, and it was heavy. If you needed to pick it up or put it in your trunk, good luck. Fast forward to 2015 and self-balancing scooters make a comeback, but it's not the Segway. Several celebrities are seen riding a hoverboard, not actually hovering, and a new trend explodes. The Segway lookalike hoverboard was even better than its predecessor. Cheaper, smaller, and cool. But even hoverboard saw its end when they got too hot. And I don't mean for consumers, I mean literally. With spontaneous demands and little regulations on electronics, supply chains fell short and hoverboards were overheating and the batteries were exploding. Additionally, Segway won a court case against the gyroscopic technology used in the devices imported from China. This took them off of shelves and later made them too difficult to find online. But let's stay on the topic of transportation and fast forward to September 2017, Venice Beach, California. Near this time, 250 electric scooters are deployed to the boardwalk at Venice Beach, with instructions on renting an electric scooter with an app. These scooters were deployed by a new startup called Bird Riding Inc. If you needed to travel a couple miles between public transport or within a tightly packed city, you needed something more than walking but less than a car, competing with bicycles, skateboards, and such. But let's make sure we take note, these were ride-sharing vehicles, a new approach made popular by Lyft and Uber, who happened to be previous employers of Bird's founder, Travis VanderZanden. Equipped with GPS to slow down theft and a gig economy business model, users logged into an app to hunt down a Bird scooter, scanned a QR code, and rode away. Wheels would lock after use and they were left wherever they wanted. Then in the cloak of night, bird catchers would patrol the cities for these scooters, load them into a truck or a van, and bring them home to charge the batteries, getting compensated through the app and later releasing them at designated areas called nests. Now, if that's not innovation, I'm not sure what is. But that wasn't and still isn't without obstacles. When I mentioned riders could lead them anywhere, I mean everywhere, to the point of public nuisance. Bird started facing large fines and bans from cities. There were reported deaths and accidents around the world from people riding electric scooters. ASU's Tempe campus saw its own qualms, later establishing its campus as a no riding zone, enforced with a geofence on the scooter's app. In 14 months, Bird scooters were in 120 cities. You could download the app and rent one for $1, plus a per minute charge of 15 to 20 cents, depending on your city. The revenue run rate for those 14 months was $100 million. It's known as one of the fastest growing startups. Whether or not the scooters are here to stay, only time will tell, but the question at hand still stands, are they innovative? The connections of a ride-sharing approach with light electric vehicles and GPS technology with a business model and logistics systems to deliver new charged scooters every morning was new. But note, these pieces were around for decades. Users could afford the solution, which was better than the Segway, but they didn't have to carry it around, which you kind of had to do for the hoverboard, and they didn't have to worry about exploding, so it was better than its predecessors. Finally, the scooters were used, and people still want to use them. They downloaded the app, which if you've ever built an app, you know is harder than coding the app itself. And they put in their information and spent money. People got to work and home and to school on time. People valued the scooters despite unclear legal regulations. And people received value. And Bird received value in return. That's why there's an entrepreneurial course at Arizona State called Entrepreneurship and Value Creation. You're right, new, better, humans' value could all be subjective. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what a professor in a classroom, a judge at a competition, a famous investor or founder thinks will or won't be innovative. It's up to the people, the market, to tell you that. You aren't supposed to take this definition blindly and never look back. If you're new to thinking entrepreneurially, this might be a helpful place to start. But if you have a few wins or losses under your belt, this might be a new perspective. There's so much more to creating value than being innovative. That's just the definition, just thinking. 10% with 90% execution left to actually create the value. Plus, there's so much more to learn. How to manage innovation, the impact, what repeatability and scalability of a solution is, and external factors like timing, testing, and your team. But perhaps now, when an employer asks you what innovation is, or you're at a party and you do something remotely clever and yell, "Number one in innovation," you might actually have something to talk about.